Welcome to Fight News Now Extra. It's John Pollock. We have lots of news from fights being canceled, replacements stepping in, and brand new fights to report. We'll discuss all of it with John Ramdine and Robin Black on today's show. It was announced on Wednesday's UFC Tonight program from the source himself that Michael Bisping is off of the UFC 193 card next month in Melbourne, Australia. Bisping announced he had suffered an elbow injury in training and will be unable to fight Robert Whittaker at Etihad Stadium. Shortly afterwards, it was confirmed by the UFC that Uriah Hall will be the one, yet again, to take a short notice fight. Hall just fought this past weekend, stopping Gegard Mousasi in the second round of their bout. This will be Hall's fifth fight of 2015. BJ Penn was also a guest on UFC Tonight and appears open to the idea of fighting again. Penn began discussing Mike Dolce, the nutritionist who worked alongside Penn for his last fight with Frankie Edgar in 2014. Penn stated on the show that he has heard criticism from Dolce about how much Penn was training during that camp, and now laid out a challenge to fight Nik Lentz, who is one of Dolce's clients, at 145 pounds, and believes he would finish Nik Lentz within one round. And finally, we have two more fights added to the January 17th UFC Fight Night card on FS1 in Boston. The card is headlined by TJ Dillashaw and Dominic Cruz for the bantamweight title and will also feature a heavyweight bout pitting Travis Browne and Matt Mitrione opposite one another. Browne's last fight was a one-round war with Andrei Arlovsky at UFC 187, with Arlovsky prevailing, while Mitrione was submitted by Ben Rothwell back in June. Also added to the Boston show is a middleweight fight, as Tim Boetsch will take on Ed Herman. On Saturday night, tune in at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for our one-hour pre-fight show heading into UFC 192 in Houston, Texas. John Ramdine, Robin Black, and myself will get you set for all of the fights happening at the Toyota Center. Look who stopped by. It's John Ramdine and Robin Black. I say 1,000% BJ Penn is going to fight again. If Nik Lentz, of all people, is going to bring this guy back and he's entertaining a fight with Nik Lentz, 1,000%. This guy is going to fight again.
Well, one thing we've learned is that all you have to do is look back in history. Champions, or not just champions, but fighters love fighting. That's it's part of their makeup. And even Robin, you're retired, yeah. But the idea still lingers in your exactly.
BJ Penn, Robin Black at 145 pounds.
No way. But the fact is that I'm not surprised, and I would not be surprised to see BJ Penn back inside of the octagon or fighting for a different organization. If you look at BJ's past, he is more than happy to go where there's dollars.
Yeah, and you know what I'm going to say. Fighters have the right to decide if they want to fight. They've earned it, etc. But this one feels a little rough even for me. Like, do you need to do this? I understand the motivation to want to do it. And
Dan Severn was fighting into his 50s.
Yeah, but, he was fighting tomato cans.
I mean, being there that night for that Frankie Edgar fight, I mean, you've never been at a more dismal press conference after. Like, it just felt, no one was focusing on Frankie Edgar. It was sad because people have seen BJ Penn perform at such an extremely high, special level. I think people want to keep that memory, and fighting and sports in general, it doesn't always lend itself to those kinds of memories preserving themselves.
I understand that, but when you think objectively about where Frankie Edgar is going to land on that greatest pound-for-pound list, he's going to be up there. He's definitely considered in the top 10. When he retires and the mixed martial arts kind of sorts itself out, when we look at the history, the fact that Frankie Edgar was able to do the things that he did throughout his career, is it really that bad that that BJ Penn lost to Frankie Edgar, who's considered one of the
I think there was a lot more focus on BJ
actually,
Penn himself and his strategy for that fight,
performance.
How he looked. And listen, I'm to say, if the guy wants to come back, that's certainly his prerogative. But I just see the idea that here is, Nik Lentz, for Christ's sake, that we're talking about, that BJ Penn might come back for. That's a guy who the switch is on to fight.
First of all, I really like Nik Lentz. I think he is a great fighter. So
but not the kind of guy that's going to reel a legend out of retirement.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Enough.
Like, it's just a very strange. And I don't even know how serious BJ Penn was in all of this. This was more just a shot at Mike Dolce.
Let's just work this out a little bit. Like, why am I hesitant? Because the reports are that BJ, who likes to eat and gain weight, is having a bunch of drinks a lot when people see him. He's out there, he's having fun, he's not in the gym. Now, when you think of that, it's like, oh man, you're one of the greatest of all time. Is this the right route for you at this stage of your life? But as you're trying to work that thought out, you're looking at it from every angle. I can relate. A lot of people can relate. You need a purpose to be in shape. If what he's looking for is to not go out and drink beer on the weekend, to not go out and eat burgers, start eating well, training good, suddenly getting back that feeling of being, an alpha male who goes in and does that at the highest level. If that's what he's searching for, go get it, man. You don't necessarily even have to fight, but have a purpose, go after. Yeah, Nik Lentz got a picture on his wall, eat good, train good, sleep right, start feeling like an animal again. And when you get almost there, you can go, holy crap, I got a six-pack, that's great. I don't need to fight Nik Lentz. Just put the dot on the page as motivation. I get that.
I think a good step is, he spent time training with the Mendez brothers, who are considered the best jiu-jitsu guys in the world. And they said that BJ Penn, this guy puts on a gi, he goes to competitions, he is going to be tearing it up. So you want to make money? Start with Metamoris or start with some of these organizations, as Robin said. Sure. Get yourself in shape, get ready to compete at the highest level. If you're successful there, then think about making the move back to mixed martial arts.
Some guys need that big target.
Yeah.
And nothing is a more motivating target than, holy crap, a professional athlete is going to try to cave my face in 12 weeks. That will motivate anybody. So if that's his purpose, to put down a cheeseburger, to put down a beer, to get himself in shape, more power to you, BJ Penn. And besides, as you think it out loud, you have earned the right to do whatever you want.
Forget 12 weeks. Uriah Hall's going to do it in 6 weeks, coming back for fight number 5 this year. Here is a guy that, he sees openings and he jumps at them. This is going to be
spins and kicks them.
This is going to be quite the remarkable year for this guy. If he beats Robert Whittaker, which you can say Gegard Mousasi may be even a more impressive victory, but Uriah Hall, this is becoming quite the story this year of this guy just jumping into this vacant spot that was created by Michael Bisping.
Very similar to the Neil Magny situation. If you can stay healthy, these are the years you're going to make the most money. You talk about the whole sponsorship thing. Josh Thompson left because the whole Reebok
This is
deal.
the Reebok effect. He wants to get those
That's
tears
right.
up.
You got to get your tears up, and the way to do that is to stay as active as humanly possible, and I think that's the goal for him right now. You didn't really sustain any type of injuries in this fight, so you just go and just keep it going, because at the end of the day, it's like, okay, I'm too old, I'm injured, I can't compete for 2 years. We've seen it with Josh Barnett, we've seen it with guys like Frank Mir, Rashad Evans has been off 2 years. If you're healthy, compete as much as humanly possible, and you'll make your cash.
Yeah, and he's a guy who learns from evidence. Something works, oh yeah, now that becomes part of his psyche, becomes part of his backpack of experiences, and he references them to get better. His experience taking a fight on short notice was boom, everything was great, so he's going to do it again. It's going to be very hard to not like this guy as he progresses. It will not be long till people who talked about, oh, he was up and down, whatever, will be forgetting all of that and talking about how he's one of the greats. It'll happen fast.
All right, great chat, guys. We have more Fight News Now Extra. Don't go anywhere.